for the BetVictor Championship League Invitational version. The world's best snooker players gather here to do battle as they compete for a top prize fund of £205,000, the title and a place in next season's Champion of Champions. Groups 1 and 2 have concluded, with our first two players into winners group already confirmed. Iran's Hossein Vafai and China's Si Jiahui, the victors, both beating Jack Jones in their finals. Jack, of course, making that magical maximum break yesterday afternoon. So here today sees the start of Group 3, and what a treat we have in store. 3 new players enter the fray, and to say they've got pedigree would be the understatement of the year. 72 ranking titles between them. They've won all there is to win in the game. Leicester's very own Mark Selby, the world champion Kyren Wilson, and of course the Rocket Ronnie O'Sullivan. Ali Carter, Chris Wakelin, Robert Milkins and Jack Jones rejoin in what promises to be another fascinating 2 days of tightly contested group action. So here's how today is going to play out, and where better place to start than the world champion taking on the Jester on table 1, which is of course our feature table here on the Matchroom Pool YouTube channel. Table 2, which is available on the Matchroom Multisport YouTube channel, kicks off with Ali Carter against Robert Milkins. Of course, those two players contested in Group 2 yesterday. Robert Milkins getting the better of Ali in that match. 6 matches to be played on each table today, with the final group matches and the playoffs concluding tomorrow. So the players are ready. Kyren Wilson, world champion, taking on Mark Selby. And, well, what sort of polo top is that Kyren's got on? Adding a little bit of colour to the group today. Referee John Pellew in charge of this one. Alongside me, Dominic Dale. And Dominic, we've had some really tightly contested groups already at this Championship League. This one promises to be a cracker.
Wait for the cue off the gent in the corner, please.
Yes, a terrific group in prospect here. I think only the current world champion would get away with wearing a polo shirt like that one, with that aqua colour stripe across the breast. Mark Selby, wow, what a player he is. A local boy, of course, from Leicester, 4 times
Okay, thank you,
a world champion.
First frame.
41 years
Mark
old now,
Selby
currently
to
ranked number 5 in the world. Made 852 career centuries, 5 of them maximums, 23 world ranking titles to his name. That's incredible.
Well, for all he's won in the game, he would have liked a better start than that. First shot in this season's Championship League for Mark Selby. Been so impressed with Kyren Wilson this season, just to see how he has kicked on from winning that world title back in the spring. I think he's just the ultimate world champion for me. He thrives off the fact that he reached the pinnacle of our sport, and he wants to continue to do more in the game. Of course, he's won 2 titles already this season, one out in Xi'an, and of course the Northern Irish Open. Mark Selby lifted the British Open title this year as well, so both players very much in form.
Early days, and both of these players, of course, will be playing in the Masters, which begins on Sunday, but they'll be playing on the more familiar Star table. Now, this Rasson table, all the pockets are configured the same, they play slightly differently, the cushions react slightly differently, so a little bit of getting used to for the players. Aaron pots the first ball. The black won't pot into the right corner, but the blue's over the yellow pocket, but can he get onto a red from it?
Of course, this week pretty much is very much about Masters preparation for a lot of players. Kyren Wilson and Mark Selby, of course, will be playing Alexandra Palace next week. Mark Selby actually takes on Ali Carter, who's in action over on table 2, so quite a big game coming up later on between Mark Selby and Ali Carter, just to maybe put a little bit of doubt into their opponent's mind going into that match.
Kyra Wilson, 6.
Mark Selby coming to the table. Just said, Happy New Year. Same old problems, the same old run of the ball that goes for you and against you at times. Kyron has snookered that red that's over the left corner.
Oh, but that's a brilliant shot that Mark's played. That wasn't hanging over the corner pocket. He had to catch that very thin coming from the side cushion first. And not just the pot, he's flicked the red away from the black. Now he's one good pot away here from making this half-decent chance to get going in this opening frame. Tough black, though. Yeah, but in it goes. Now, is he on a red?
8.
Difficult to tell, isn't it? If he is on the red to the right corner, he'd be beautifully on it. Oh, it looks as though it goes, but he can't do. He's not down to play it. Both of these players will be in the Masters just a few days' time, really, and you can imagine that they'll have been practicing very hard and their game's already going to be sharp ahead of this Championship League group.
Mark Selby, 8.
So they won't be using this Championship League group to brush up on their form. It's going to be fantastic. You can imagine they'll have been practicing very hard, but it will give them some extra match practice ahead of the Masters.
Yeah, and that's key, isn't it, Dom? You know, better than anyone, that the practice you do on your own, at home, down the club, wherever it may be, you can never really replicate those match conditions, no matter how hard you try. So being here in Leicester, they've got 6 group games ahead of them, 6 solid practice matches. It's vital, isn't it, really, just to really sharpen things up going into that Masters.
I'll have a look. Okay, thank you.
Yes, and this particular version of the Championship League is a non-ranking version. The Masters doesn't carry ranking points. Difference is that the Masters will be played in front of a massive audience. You really do get involved with the snooker now. That red has gone in.
What?
Now, I don't know whether Mark played that. There was no apology. I think he did attempt it. And it mustn't be forgotten that Mark Selby was a former world 8-ball pool champion, so those types of plants or combination shots, as the Americans would call them, would be very familiar to Mark Selby. And I think some of his fantastic tactical play and ability to put you in trouble when you've got him in trouble yourself comes from pool. Because it's a very, very tactical game, 8-ball pool.
He's just ridiculously clever, isn't he, Mark Selby? There's never a moment where he doesn't know what to do. There's always a motive behind his shots as well. I'll never forget one of the times I played Mark, actually qualified for the German Masters, and of course anyone that's ever played at the Tempodrome in Berlin knows what a big, intimidating venue that can be. A great venue nonetheless, but I played Mark on table 1 and he had me in absolute pieces every time I came to the table. I just had no answers. That's what he can do to players right up and down the rankings. He's so clever. He knows how to trap you. He's one of the heaviest scorers in the game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's 41 years old now, Mark Selby.
17.
Now, he's made 852 career centuries, so you'd think he would eclipse the 1,000-century break mark during his career. Still got plenty of years ahead of him. But yeah, I did some work for a very popular streaming channel with Stephen Hendry just a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about Mark Selby, and Stephen suggested that when Mark's at his absolute best, he just can't be beaten. And I agreed with him, because I said of Mark that he reminds me of Novak Djokovic, a tennis player, that when he's at his absolute best, I don't think anybody beats him. And I think the same
24.
with Mark Selby. You know, in the way he beat Ronnie O'Sullivan, oh, it's a long time ago now, but I think he was something like 11-5 behind to Ronnie O'Sullivan, the World Championships, and came out and won that final. And no matter what Ronnie did, he just couldn't compete with the incredible play of
25.
Mark Selby, who just looked impossible to beat.
Yeah, for me, Mark Selby, in terms of the ultimate player, he is the
32.
ultimate player at his best. I think he's the greatest match player we've ever seen.
Yeah, because
33.
if you look at somebody like a John Higgins, who we regard as just an unbelievable player, tactically, scoring-wise, everything at his best. Well, if there's one player, and I think there must be only one player that I could say is even better tactically than John Higgins, it's got to be Mark Selby. I can't think of anybody else. Those two are just incredible. The problem is Stephen, of course, play tactically as well as you like, but it doesn't put points on the board. In the end, you've got to pot them.
38.
Yeah, absolutely. The modern game now very much about scoring heavy, and of course Mark Selby is one of the heaviest scorers in the game.
39.
So going well so far in this opening frame. He's got the balls nicely situated to take this frame out at this visit. Just playing on the single
46.
red, finding the gap between the reds and the pink, played it to perfection. And in potting this, releases the two reds
47.
beneath the pink to left corner as well. So this is looking pretty straightforward now for Mark Selby.
And a real lesson for any youngsters who want to become professional players. You can watch some of the
54.
top players play and mimic their cue actions, their style of play, etc. But one thing you must look at as well is the speed at which they walk around the table, how
55.
measured they are. So that when they walk into the shot to play it, they're already in a good rhythm because of the pace that they walk around the table. It's nothing hurried.
Yeah, there's lots of different ingredients required
62.
to create the perfect snooker player. Mark Selby, well, he's pretty much got all of them.
63.
Oh, the black just holds
Mark
the lip.
Selby, 63.
A little
on the
glance at
frame.
Kyron Wilson, but he's seen enough, so that break of 63 from Mark Selby, more than good enough to take the opening frame here in Leicester. It's first blood to the Jester, 1-0. First frame of the day has been won by Leicester's very own Mark Selby here on table 1. The first frame still in action over on table 2. Ali Carter, Robert Milkins.
Second frame, Kyra Wilson to break.
World champion Kyron Wilson breaking off. Remember, best of 5 matches still here, first of 3. 6 group games to be played over the course of today and tomorrow. The bottom 2 placed players in the group table come the end of all the matches will be eliminated from the tournament. 5th place will come back for group 4, and of course the top 4 ranked players will contest a playoff to then realise an eventual winner to join Hossein Vafai and Si Jawi in winners group, which will be played sometime in February.
That with a lot of check side, killed the pace of the cue ball to create the necessary angle, which was perfect, just a couple of feet short of pace. I've seen Kyron for a little while. He seems to have turned into one of snooker's bottled blondes. Been a few of those over the years, haven't there?
Yeah, I can think of one. I'm sat next to him. Oh, but what another beautiful strike from Mark Selby. Desperately hoping that cue ball will pull up, and it has done. That's the difference. Hand on table from range. These guys, they eat that type of shot for breakfast.
Five.
Interesting. Yeah, I would describe that as an aqua stripe across the chest of Kyron Wilson. I was quite sure it's a bit paler than an aqua, isn't it? It's more like a cyan.
From a distance, it looks like he's got signatures on the front of his polo top, but up close you can see that it isn't.
6.
He tried to run through for the black and has left it significantly short. It's not on anything. But can you see a colour? I can see the blue perhaps, or the edge of the pink. Disappointed there, Mark. It was a poor positional shot from him, really, when you
Mark
consider
Selby, 6.
his ability as a positional player. It's fantastic.
Oh, but that safety shot, much too thick from Kyron Wilson. So much so, he's not even gone past the blue spot, so immediately Mark Selby returns to the table with another chance. And this time the black spot is slightly more cleared. Can knock this red in, it could be away. Just about held for the black. That cue ball drifted dangerously close to that one red. You can see the black. He'd like to remove the red closest to right corner pocket and just start to chip away at the reds around the black spot just to open things up properly.
Yes, of course, only one frame has been played so far, and Mark Selby will still be learning about the way the cloth is playing, how responsive the cloth is to spin with every shot that he plays. There's so many reds that he could be on. So although he did play for the red to right corner, he was on a more suitable alternative to left corner.
Sixteen. 17.
On thing you notice, all the top players as well, they'll stand well back from the table, look at the shot, the potting angle of the shot they're about to play, and walk into that shot on the very same line as the potting angle, so that again your setup and your preparation for every shot you play remains exactly the same.
24. Thank you. 25.
So you can see it here, Mark, feet together, right in front of the potting line for the black, and he'll walk in probably with 2 steps and he'll be in position to play the shot. Feet together, 2 steps, down on the shot, on the very same line.
Yeah, what that does, it allows him to commit to the line that he's decided to play. You know, the average club player,
32.
you may see a lot of movement at the table, trying to adjust and find the potting angle. The best players in the world don't do that. Micro adjustments at the table are okay to some
33.
degree, but you want to approach the shot and commit to that as much as possible, limit as much movement at the table as possible. And you see again, into the shot, now he's on the line and plays it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realise actually that at least 90% of the preparation for the shot is taken care
35.
of before you actually get down to play it. That's where you focus the mind and decide on what shot you're playing and how you're going to play it. That's done when you're standing
36.
behind the shot before you get down to play it. You don't start feathering the cue ball in the act of playing the shot and decide what you're doing while you're feathering the cue ball.
Yeah, and of course the players are so well practiced and they know pretty much every shot in the book. There's no real reason for them to do the
43.
feathering at the table. It's purely just to tell their arm what sort of strike they're going to play. On the practice table, these guys
44.
could literally walk into the shot and strike the ball and probably get the same result. All their preparation, all the decision making is done behind the shot.
$49.
Oh, this really is the perfect start to this third group of the BetVictor Championship Snooker League for Mark Selby. Made a break of 63 in the first frame and he's going along very nicely here.
$50. $57.
So just this red required for Mark, and it's been the perfect start.
58.
2 frames played, and it's going to be 2 frames won for Mark Selby.
Second, please, Mark. Thank you. 64. $65.
He did get in first in this frame, Mark Selby, but broke down with a poor positional shot, really, by his standards. Failed to get on a colour from potting a red, had to play safe, but the safety shot from Kyron Wilson, he caught it much too thick, stuck Mark Selby banging amongst them, and this has been the result.
73.
Just promoting that red away from the pink increases Mark's chances of making a first century break in this group.
81.
And that absolutely perfect on the black to just top cushion across the face of the red.
$88. 89. 93. 95.
You can see just slowly going through the gears here, Mark Selby. Still very early stages, of course, in this group, but already positive signs.
98.
As you say, just finding his way, starting to hit them lovely. And this brown for a 32nd ton of the season.
102.
Brilliant start.
107. 113.
'Well, a break of 63 in the first and followed up with a break of 120 in the second. It's all Mark Selby here in Leicester. He's now one away from victory. He leads 2-0. Well, what a start from Mark Selby here at the BetVictor Championship League, taking on the world champion Kyron Wilson. in a commanding position, breaks of 63 and 120
Thank you. Third frame.
to
Back
storm
Selby
into
to
a 2-0 lead. And now just one frame away from victory in quick time. Although he won't be getting ahead of himself or too excited just yet. These short matches, best of fives, they can turn very, very quickly. One shot can be the difference. Kyron Wilson hasn't got going so far this morning. He's been pretty much frozen out. Can he find a long red here when he needs it most? Not quite, and caught the loose red as well, which held the cue ball up. So immediately in this third frame, Mark comes to the table with a chance to get going once again.
Yes, we haven't seen much of Kyron in this match so far. And, you know, this is the great thing I love about sport, not just snooker, but how players react to pressure. And Mark Selby's been playing so well while this has gone wrong.
One.
When somebody is playing so well against you in any sport, it's how you react to that pressure that's heaped upon you. And, you know, this is the difficult part of sport. Now, if Mark Selby was making mistake after mistake, even if Mark would have been 2-0 up, there'd have been a little less pressure
Selby.
on Kyron. But Kyron already knows that Mark Selby is scoring very heavily, breaks of 63 and 120. So as great a player as Kyron is, pressure can still cause you problems at times and cause you to make mistakes you wouldn't ordinarily make.
Again, even the safety shot from Mark there when he failed to get on the black from the opening red. There was nothing half-hearted about it. Got down and nailed Kyron. Left him with only a one cushion escape into the side of the pack, which went wrong.
One.
And another lesson for players, if you're about to go into the pack of reds with pace, just have a look at the pack of reds to see if there's a plant somewhere that could find a pocket. Mark those decided to play for the bottom red, and this is another thing now that players do so often. They'll leave themselves an angle on the red to screw into the pack, develop further reds, but still maintain position on one of the high value colours. Could have done it there, Mark, but chose not to. But actually he's created a bit of a problem for himself, because I'm not sure there's another red available except to the right centre, because I think he's a little straight on the black to go into them.
Yes, so it will be the red to the centre pocket, and from that red he will be searching for a nice angle on his next colour to get into the pack. This is 14. Why the players these days, they take the chance to go into the reds as early as possible, because when you leave it to the last second like this from Mark, you're not always guaranteed to land. And so much so that he's missed the red to even 14. Create the chance of going into them. So slight little error that from Mark Selby.
Yes, he was again too straight on the black anyway to have gone into the reds had he knocked that one into the centre. I just imagine, you know, Judd Trump a few shots ago, I'm sure would have gone into the pack of reds. Again, it's another thing I love about sport, and certainly snooker. Just all the different styles of play that we see. John Pellew there, our referee. Now here's one for you. Did you know, all you hornblower fans out there, there's a character in the Hornblower series that's been on TV. I think it's written by C.S. Forrester, but anyway. Sir Edward Pellew, who was the Royal Navy Admiral, he was born in 1757, died in 1833. He was a Viscount of Exmouth, no less. Well, John Pellew, our referee, is a relation of Sir Edward Pellew. He was born, of course, in, I think, Georgian times. We're talking best part of 250 years ago.
One. Three.
That was something that our referee, John Pellew, told me quite a while ago. I've known John Pellew a long time from Llanelli in West Wales. I used to play a lot of snooker there. Known our referee for decades.
Four.
Well, that hasn't worked out for Mark. He can get through to the brown to play his safety, but I don't know if he'll be tempted by the black to left centre. The problem is, if he takes it on and misses it, Kyron, who's hardly had a look-in this match, could be given his first golden opportunity.
Yeah, that's the difference, isn't it? Mark Selby knows he's got Kyron under a lot of pressure. He doesn't want to let up and gift him an easy chance. I can think of so many players that would have taken that black onto middle 2-0 up.
Mark Selby, 4.
And as always, it's just solid match play from Mark Selby. This is why he's so frustrating to play as well, to be fair. Kyron would have been sat in his seat, probably willing Mark to take that black onto the middle pocket, because that at least provided a glimmer of hope that he might have missed it and given him a chance. I think this is where Kyron has also improved so much over the recent seasons. He's always up for the battle. He's 2-0 down here. He's one frame away from a loss, but he won't see it that way. He'll see it as a chance to turn it around and land a big scalp early on in this group. But if he is going to get a result, something is going to have to happen pretty soon. And that's a good place to start.
1.
Well, it's a good job there are a few reds in open play, because there'd just been one red to play for, and a tricky part of the table. It certainly wouldn't be easy to get onto from here. Can you just see enough of the brown? Never easy to judge this, though, positionally, when the object ball's in the jaws of a pocket. He's got the line wrong, needs a bit of luck now, and has had enough. I think the red to left centre,
5.
Kyron will be happy with, but there'll be pressure on it.
Yeah, that cue ball just travelled on enough that Kyron can just get to the middle of the white. Anything, you want to be just left of centre, which is ideal, so no problems.
6. $13. 14.
'Similar scoreline over on table 2. Ali Carter, the captain,
21.
2-0 to the good over Robert Milkins.
22.
Kyron going well here. He's just slowly starting to find a little bit of rhythm in amongst the balls. He's largely been sat out for this match, so always a slight question mark over
29.
whether the player can take the first chance they get, particularly when they're so far behind in a match. The best players in the world so good at coming to the table when they haven't played that much of a part in the game so far, and then taking the first chance they get. Very difficult thing to do.
Thank you.
Well, this is why they're such great players. I mean, obviously they put in the hard yards on the practice table, of course, but it's so important. It's of paramount importance to have a good temperament to accompany all that hard work that's done on the practice table. Practicing hour after hour, day after day, the same practice
37.
routines. Can be drudgery at times, but the top players have to do it.
$38. $45. $46.
Kyron knew the top red, or the one just below the pink, was available, so didn't want to play a
53.
risky cannon into the red just to the left of the pink. I beg your pardon, the right of the pink.
54.
So lead of 35 points, just this pink and one more red to get his first frame on the board.
And remember, still £100 per frame won in the group stages of this event.
60.
Players will receive 1 point for a match win, which the group standings will be based
61.
on. It's all about those points. Kyron Wilson keeping his hopes alive here. This has been a brilliant contribution. Every chance to respond with a century of his own.
69.
Good long red to get in with, but then had to play a tricky brown from the jaws of the green pocket. It was a little fortuitous to land on a red to left centre, but after that it's been an impeccable break.
74. 76. 79. 83. 88.
He's edging ever closer to 500 career tons, Kyron Wilson. This would be his 487th.
94.
What a great response this has been from the world champion. He was frozen out
101
for the first two frames of this match, but the world champion has arrived, and it's very much game on here in Leicester. Mark Selby still leads, but now just 2-1. 2-1, Mark Selby leads the world champion here on our feature table. Table 1 of the BetVictor Championship League, and there is table 2 just across the other side of the arena. Ali Carter taking on the milkman Robert Milkins. Both of those players featured in yesterday's Group 2 failed to come through, but it's Carter who's got the advantage in that match so far. The Matchroom Multisport YouTube channel for all of table 2's action. Well, both the players just having a little discussion about the cushions. Not too sure exactly what they feel. But Mark Selby, both of the break-offs he's had in this game, well, the first one he caught the blue, and the second one he's brought a red up the table, so maybe they've just picked up on something.
Not that unusual to find that one cushion plays a little quicker than the rest of them. Sometimes it's the top cushion. When you play a safety shot, you find that it bounds rather speedily and you end up going in and out of bulk with the cue ball. But sometimes as well, cushions will play a little more slowly than you're expecting them to. Worst thing is, though, when they're inconsistent, 1 minute they're coming off quickly, another time they're coming off slowly. And that can happen as well, particularly if there's spots of chalk on the cue ball. That can create fast bounces. And that's been one of the great advantages of using this newer form of chalk. Very rarely get chalk becoming adhered to the cue ball. Therefore, bad bounces and kicks have almost been eliminated from snooker.
Yes, and I bang this drum a lot, and I'll continue to bang it because I'm absolutely convinced that the introduction of the new Town chalk has been the best thing ever to happen to the game, in my opinion. How many times down the years have we been in amongst the balls and had a heavy contact or a big bounce, and it can cost you frames and it can cost you matches as well. It's a much more consistent game nowadays, and it's one less thing to think about. It's been an absolute revelation. Fantastic safety shot there from Mark, screwing the cue ball back into balk, sending the red up and back down the table. Again, just finds a way to dig himself out of trouble constantly.
something else with Mark Selby as well, that when he's cueing well, he just has this positive talent, being able to find the bulk cushion with his safety shots more than anybody else I think I've ever seen.
Once again, Mark Selby leaving a return for Kyron Wilson, so the world champion just clinging on here, just trying to buy himself a couple of shots by playing this dump shot to this top cushion. And a little bit of a game of chess almost going on. Selby clearly the one with the control of the table at the minute, but he knows better than most. One poorly played shot could just present a chance back to the world champion. Maybe not to get in, but to take back control of the table. Mark Selby, really one of the best in the business at keeping his foot firmly on his opponent. First result of the day has come over on table 2. Ali Carter has beaten Robert Milkins, and he's beaten him well, 3-0. Ali Carter will stay out on table 2 to take on Jack Jones. So a speculative cross double from Kyron Wilson there, and at first glance, he may not have left anything easy for Mark Selby.
The only chance of a red could be the one that's just to the left of the pink, if it passes past it and through the gap of the other two. Must be close. Mark Selby's having a good look at this.
Yeah, it looks incredibly tight. If anything, he can just squeeze it into the left part of the pocket, but the downside to that is you don't want to be pinching too much of these pockets, particularly the middles. So he's got 2 reds just right of the pink spot, closest to the right corner. They will clip into the right corner pocket, but very, very thin. Yeah, but no issues at all. And if that cue ball drifts across the face of the yellow, which it has, this is half a chance for Mark Selby now.
These cutbacks can be rather awkward because you have to time the ball perfectly. Yes, that's pretty good. Wow, look at where he's finished. He's on nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's very unfortunate.
Well, surely he's got to be on a red to middle.
Touching ball.
How can you not land there? Well, that really is incredible. He used the pack of reds there just to hold up the cue ball, Mark Selby. Just played into an area where it was virtually impossible not to land on something.
And what's more, a touching ball has been declared by referee John Pellew, which is normally an advantage, but I'm not so sure it is here, because you can't just touch into the pack of reds. I can't see where you can leave the cue ball now because of the red in bulk. Can't leave the cue ball anywhere on this top cushion because he can't get there. He's in a bit of trouble here. Even if he can find a safe zone, the chances are Kyron can put him in trouble afterwards.
Yeah, and this is a situation that a player like Mark Selby will absolutely hate, because every time he plays a shot there's a motive behind it, and he's always looking to try and gain an advantage, and it looks to have been taken out of his hands here. You're right, he is in trouble. as you say, he may not leave a pot on for Kyren Wilson, but he'll certainly hand back control. So just coming round and had a look at that red just above the cue ball, you may feel that there's value in attempting the pot to the middle pocket. But if he goes for it, it's got to go.
Mark Selby, 3.
They certainly found something there. The red just below the green won't pass the blue to left corner. And I have to say, I think he's actually found a shot there that's given Kyren something to think about. Well, that took some doing.
Yeah, he's done incredibly well there. The concern that Mark had was that if he'd have left that cue ball away from that one red in baulk, that Kyren could have sent it down the table and got Mark Selby in behind the green. How well has Mark Selby done there to not leave anything on for Kyren Wilson?
Slightest gaps.
Slightest gaps. Okay, so that means it's not touching.
Well, this time Mark has left the chance for Kyren to send the red down the table. He can either screw the cue ball, sorry, back to the baulk cushion in a line behind the green. Just cuts off a number of routes available to Mark Selby.
There is a potential path back to the baulk area from the red that's virtually on the pink spot, just to the right of it. But it always puts pressure on you when you know that there's a red close to the baulk area that you have to come past to not leave on. Ain't something entirely different though here. Even the cue ball on this top cushion needs that red to wobble and go up the table, and it hasn't. This is cuttable. It was a well-played cue ball, tap on the table from Kyren, because he realises there that Mark Selby was unfortunate. He played the shot very well.
One.
So after a lengthy safety exchange, really, it's taken a while to get going this frame, but ultimately Kyren Wilson is in with the chance. Can't afford any mistakes going forward now. He's one away from a defeat here, looking to try and take us the distance. Oh, but he's just lost the cue ball. He played that as like a stun run. He's just got a little bit too much run into it. I'll be bitterly disappointed with that one. Didn't look all that pleased with how the cue ball came off the cushion, but I think he just went a little too high on the cue ball there.
Kyren Wilson, 7.
That was a very, very unusual mistake to make. But he's found the baulk cushion with the cue ball, and that's very important because it limits what Mark Selby can do here.
Yeah, didn't let the disappointment of the previous poor positional shot cloud his judgment on that safety shot there, Kyron Wilson. Got a very good cue ball, limits what Mark Selby can actually do with this shot. Can only get to the top of the white. There's nothing really safe on this table either, so every shot under a lot of pressure. Now it's Mark Selby's turn to try and find a containing shot, although I don't think he's found it. He's certainly left a red available to Kyron Wilson, possibly multiple. But he wasn't able to get the initial red, so an instant reprieve for Mark Selby. Who now finds himself one good strike away from being nicely in. Yeah, and strike it well he did, so another chance for Mark to get the job done here on table one. This frame has been a little cagey. There's been a number of mistakes from both players. And a very free-flowing start to the match. Breaks of 63 and 120 from Mark, and followed up with a 101 from Kyron. The heavy hitters have certainly arrived.
8.
But now it's all about getting the job done.
9. 16. 17. 24. 25.
'Being straight on the blue, not an issue for Mark here. He's got a red available to the green pocket. Just tidy up the top half of the table.
30.
Lead slowly increasing.
$31.
And a solid season so far from Mark Selby, as I mentioned earlier, lifted the British Open title down in Cheltenham. Reached the semi-final of the Shanghai Masters, which was the first event
25.
of the season. And of course made the semi-finals of the shootout, which was held at this very venue in Leicester.
36.
Quarterfinals at the English Open, Champion of Champions, and the 167 event out in Saudi Arabia just before Christmas. So already has banked around about the £325,000 for the season, and still some very big tournaments to come.
41.
Oh, where's this cue ball going? Oh, he's been
42.
very, very fortunate there, Mark. As soon as he struck that, he thought it was in.
Oh, we caught a glimpse of it, didn't we? And it looked as though it was right dead centre of the middle pocket there, but somehow it didn't go in.
And that's how quickly these groups can turn. If that cue ball drops, Kyron may get back in, pinch the frame, and then take us the distance. Very fine margins here at Championship League. These groups are on a knife edge consistently. Every group has gone close so far.
$47.
Good shape here, isn't he, Mark Selby? Couldn't do much though positionally, but there must be a plant. There was a plant.
48.
Wow, that's always such a bonus. You can be virtually anywhere on the table, and if there's a plant on, you can knock it in. 44 points the lead, so nearing the winning line now in this match.
Well, he would have liked to have been straight on this red to middle, just to run through for the blue. A little touch low on this red. Digging into the cue ball to try and hold for the pink, probably. Yeah, no issues, and an angle enough to get over the other side for the red. So it's now looking a formality for Mark Selby.
Yes.
He's worked these well, although the chance did come from a Mr. Left centre from Kyron Wilson.
$59. $60. $65.
So well over the winning line in this match.
66.
Looking now to add a third century to the score sheet. Certainly been a very high standard this game alone. And you look at this group and the players involved in it, and you can't see the standard dropping at all. We couldn't have asked for a better start to the day. And again, another very well-controlled positional shot from Mark Selby. So
80.
Now the colours, the 6 colours ahead of him to rack up another century break to his tally.
82. $85. $89. $94.
Well, this has just been superb stuff from both, really. Kyron Wilson frozen out pretty much for the early part of this match. Mark Selby showing his class. And that pink for another century break in this match. Been blow for blow stuff. No attempt at the black there, just keeping it tight as he always does, Mark Selby. What a performance that was from Leicester's jester, Mark Selby, a 3-1 winner over Kyron Wilson. Breaks of 63, 120, and a bang-on 100 to see out the win and take the first point of the day for him. Up next, feature Ronnie O'Sullivan against Chris Wakelin. That match will start in around 5 minutes' time. It's got some living up to do. What a start here in Leicester.
Welcome back to Leicester, the Mattioli Arena, playing host, of course, to the BetVictor Championship League. And it's day one of Group 3, and what a group. We've got some of the biggest names in the sport involved today. We're about to see the biggest, Ronnie O'Sullivan. There's the table as it stands. Ali Carter, 3-0 winner in his match against Robert Milkins, and 3-1, as we've just seen. Selby looking really good against Karen Wilson. So, coming up, Ronnie O'Sullivan is here, and he's going to be taking on Chris Wakelin, who, of course, he's playing. I mean, certainly Chris knows the conditions here because he's playing his 5th day, his 3rd group of Championship League snooker. O'Sullivan just having a little knock backstage, but good to see him here, of course, and I'm sure a lot of people tuning in to watch him. Jack Jones and Robert Milkins, the other players in the group. Milkins already played. Jack Jones just getting underway against Ali Carter. In fact, Carter's won the first, so he's won 4 out of 4 there. Bearing in mind, Ryan Day, Mr. Yellow, yesterday to basically knock him out of the event. It's amazing that that one shot has sort of transformed his fortunes almost. Chris just waiting for Ronnie O'Sullivan to arrive, and be interested to see what sort of form Ronnie's in. Chris just checking whatever he's checking on his phone. A bit early for the league table. Yeah, no doubt watching Table 2 on the Matchroom Multisport YouTube channel. Dominic alongside me. There's always something different and special, Dom, when Ronnie arrives, isn't there?
There really is. I mean, when I was a young player, you know, I used to admire and love to watch people like Alex Higgins and Jimmy White. And of course, in the modern game, we've got Ronnie O'Sullivan, who's, 7 times world champion, done everything there is in the game. The modern era, is a wonderful player to watch. And it's not often in any sport, is it, where the greatest performer in your sport happens to be one of the most watchable, and Ronnie O'Sullivan certainly is.
49 years of age, plays a young man's game. He's got the shortest, quickest average shot time on tour this season, just under 17 seconds. John Pellew, the referee, just affixing a logo. O'Sullivan, I mean, we hold him to high standards. He holds himself to high standards. He's not had the best season, really. He's not won a tournament, which I guess for him is a surprise. Not actually been in a final. Best in a ranking event, semis of the Xi'an Grand Prix in China. That was early season. So, of course, he's defending champion at the Masters next week, looking for a record-extending 9th title. He plays John Higgins on the opening afternoon, Sunday. I'm sure he's looking forward to a couple of days. Good match practice here against quite a few players who will be in that tournament, Chris Wakelin included. Of the 7 players in the group, 5 are in the Masters next week. Wakelin, of course, making his debut. He has beaten O'Sullivan at the English Open 2016.
Not a lot, really, for Chris to go at here. You can only see a couple of balls. Mistake already, but it's always difficult when you play Ronnie O'Sullivan. He can be very intimidating. Not so much perhaps in the first frame because you haven't seen what he's capable of, but when Ronnie starts knocking in big breaks against you, it can be very tough to play against. He'll be very relaxed here, no ranking points at stake, but it's a real good match sharpener for the Masters, which begins, of course, on Sunday.
I think it's a good sign if you're a Ronnie O'Sullivan fan that, you know, he's come here today, doesn't have to come, but he's trying to tune up. That's not gone as planned, though, that first shot.
And Ronnie, like all the other players in this group, will be taking this very seriously, because I can promise you that if you don't take something seriously and you just play in rather haphazard fashion, you can easily develop little faults in your technique.
Yeah, and he has to, doesn't he? Because look at the other players in this group. You know, you don't want to... You want always looking for an edge, and you don't want to give any of your rivals an opportunity to get one over on you, because it could, down the line, give them confidence next time they play you. You know, if they completely outplay you, even in a small event. Yep, got there. Plays 4 matches today. Got to Karen Wilson after this one. Mark Selby later. Jack Jones last on. And Wakelin, of course, has played a lot of matches already to say the least, in this event. So 4 good solid days for him. Finished 5th in Group 1 and was semi-final loser last night in Group 2.
One.
Super red from Chris, but unfortunately he's played the cue ball so tightly to the bolt cushion. I don't think this pink will cut in. Well, he's had a look at it. If it does cut in, it's exceptionally thin, but I think he's decided against it.
Chris Wakelin, 1.
Yeah, playing John Higgins on Sunday. That's 30 years on from when he beat John in the final to win the Masters for the first time, 95, when they were both just 19.
That's a mistake from Chris Wakelin. He'd be disappointed that red's found the jaws of the corner. Once again, though, Ron has been unfortunate. That was a disastrous kiss from cue ball to red. Not where the cue ball's finished. Now, can he roll up to a colour, or will he just screw back to the bolt cushion? No attempt at the yellow.
Ronnie O'Sullivan,
Early days,
1.
of course, but just look at the way the reds are positioned around the table now, so one mistake could be very costly.
Yeah, 2 reds he's potted and both times didn't land on a colour.
Good for us as commentators as well, Dave, isn't it? Just to, it's a bit of a marker, isn't it, to see what sort of form some of these top players are in ahead of the Masters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with Wakelin, what's been interesting is how he's improved as the 4 days have gone on, as he misses that one. I mean, the first 2 matches he played in Group 1, you know, he looked very rusty, but just the fact he managed to stay in that group, played a lot better in the last group, albeit CJW beat him 3-2 in the semis, but just look sharper, and maybe he'll get sharper and sharper leading into next week. That was a chance. So Sullivan's been out in Asia doing exhibitions over the Christmas period in Macau and China, so he's only just got back. He has been playing, but it's not the same as matches, is it, that are meaningful?
Well, played it in a confident fashion. The drag shot for the black to opposite corner was a positive shot to play, but it's gone wrong and it could be very costly now. The reason I say that is that because there are reds all over the place, even if you're not on your intended next red, chances are you'll be on another. The one that's closest to the black Should be Ronnie's next intended red, because that would open up the black spot area, and he'd love to get that yellow back on its spot. Players tend to hate it when the bulk colours are down this end of the table. But he is a little short of pace there, Ronnie. Keeper will be cannoning other balls here.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 7.
Yeah, and you can see he's a bit disappointed, but this is where Wakelin has got to recognise that there's an early opportunity here, and these matches are short, of course. O'Sullivan is a little rusty early on. He has to try and take advantage.
1.
Someone who's not rusty is Ali Carter. He's already 2-0 to the good against Jack Jones, having beaten Milkins 3-0 earlier.
Three. Four.
Considering where these pockets are, they're a little bit forgiving, more so than the star tables. I'll be playing for the red along the cushion here. Chris has decided to stun out for one of the reds above the black spot. This is a great chance for him, and he needs to take it as well, just to put pressure on Ronnie O'Sullivan. Whenever you're playing the top players, if you don't put them under pressure, they can walk all over you. Of course, we tend to forget that Chris Wakelin is a top player himself. Certainly justified being a top player with the performances this season.
19.
Believes that he can beat anybody, and he's proved it.
20.
Yes, there's no reason to be overawed. I guess maybe even sort of 2 or 3 years ago it would be more of a case to be, but he's a top player himself, and everyone knows that. Everyone's seen his results. You could argue he's had a better season really than O'Sullivan. He's been in a big final in China.
25.
In terms of what he's wanted to achieve from it, compared to Ronnie, who obviously wants to be winning tournaments again.
26. 33. 34.
Played that with a lot of top and left-hand side on the cue ball, which can
41.
just push the cue ball off its true course a little, that side spin, and it nearly caused the error.
42.
Oh, if he plays for the red near the centre pocket, be a certainty to win this frame. That's what he's done. It's a couple
49.
more pots away now from winning this opening frame.
50.
Yeah, I think it's important that he took this chance. O'Sullivan had had a couple, but you could see he was annoyed when he missed when he was in there, and that's where you have to pick up the signs.
55.
It's a game played on the table, but it's also a game played between the ears, psychological as well. You have to show an opponent that you're going to punish if a mistake comes. And that's what he's done here. That was frame ball.
56.
We saw 2 century breaks from the cue of Mark Selby in the first match.
63.
Enough on here for Chris Wakelin to make one of his own. Oh, it's just gone wrong.
You had to say that, didn't you? But anyway, he's won the frame with a solid break. He leads Ronnie O'Sullivan 1-0. Ronnie O'Sullivan is in the house, but he's in that seat and was for much of the first frame. Chris Wakelin taking advantage when he missed.
Second frame.
So it's only 1-0, but it's a short match, of course, best of 5. If you're tuning in, maybe as a Ronnie fan who hasn't sort of been following the Championship League, this is Group 3. There's 7 groups. The winner of each goes through to a final winners group, first week of February. And the winner of that gets in the Championship League. And it is a league. They each play each other. Top 4 in the table contest the playoffs tomorrow night to find that group winner, 2 semis and a final. Oh, that little knuckle. He's left this red cuttable. I think it would have been anyway.
One.
Just a couple of possible loose reds to play for. Does have an angle on the black. He can't really screw into the meat of the pack of the reds, but he could probably clip a few of the outside ones and bring a couple more into play. Not sure Chris intended to go around the houses to come down the table for a red again, but I don't think it's finished too badly.
8. Nine.
The previous frame, Dave spoke about the sort of season that Ronnie O'Sullivan has had. He's still 18th on the seasonal points, but that's low for him. Chris Wakelin, though, is 10th on the season points so far, so he's having a better season for Ronnie O'Sullivan by a long way.
Well, at least he's not left O'Sullivan in missing that. The thing is, though, we do hold different players to different standards. You know, if Ronnie's not winning tournaments, then it's seen as not being successful. It's not as easy as just turning up and winning, clearly. But the fact is he hasn't won a title since Riyadh last season, the invitation event. Last final, the Tour Championship at the end of last season, just before the Crucible, where Mark Williams beat him.
Very awkward now to play the cue ball into bulk because of the two potentially possible reds to either centre pocket. Chris Wakelin was fortunate there. That red would have been very potable. That cue ball not finished in front of the yellow the way it did. That's a decent reply from Ronnie O'Sullivan. It's a good safety from where he was. That's better than that. It's a great safety.
Touching ball. One.
Disappointed Chris Wakelin to have left that red to the left centre. Again, positional error from Ronnie. He's not happy. Green is covering the only possible red to the left corner, so
Seven.
he can chip another red into the same left corner, the one that's just detached from the main bunch. Oh, Ronnie thought that red would pass as well, but it didn't.
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Very indifferent
7.
start. Ronnie O'Sullivan.
To be honest, he's looked like a lot of players coming into this event rusty. What I'll say Wakelin did in Group 1. The benefit he's got is this is the 5th day he's played. Although Mark Selby didn't look very rusty, did he? He made 2 centuries against Karen Wilson.
And ever since Ronnie walked out to play this match, he's been looking at his tip as though there's something he's not happy with.
Was a clear opportunity for Wakelin here, he must recognise that. Sullivan yet to really get going.
5. Six.
Good strike of the cue ball there. Even a shot like that will give Chris Wakelin confidence, because he could not have struck that any better. Just having a look to see if he can pot the pink and run through into the pack of reds to develop a few. Problem is with a shot like this, the more pace that you play it with, the wider the cue ball will go from the pink, and he may just clip the reds rather than run into them, and that's what's happened. He's on nothing.
Twelve.
Trying the double.
Chris Wakelin, 12.
You can already see though, as Sullivan, you know, he's playing properly, he's business-like, he's here for proper practice first and foremost, and don't get that sort of whacking the balls about, so he's playing the proper safety, being patient. Wakelin caught that a little thick, but no real damage done.
Chris just having a look, see if he can get through to the red below the black to take it on, but he can't quite get through there. This will displease him. How on earth has he left the red so close to the corner pocket? But that cannon on the yellow has come to his aid.
One.
Well, although the cannon on the yellow prohibited from Ronnie O'Sullivan playing the easier pot to the left corner, he knocked a very good one in anyway to the right corner. So good opportunity now for Ronnie. Black is accessible, but you'll need an angle soon on the colour to go into the reds.
Six. Seven.
Well, that was exactly as played. It will mean something to Ronnie to score well from here, because he's
14.
done very little in the match so far.
$15.
1,279 centuries suggests that he'll be scoring at some point. Well, he's left himself a pot, but he's sort of missed a
22.
few from distance already. Not that one though.
23.
No, that'll make him feel better.
Can't see any way though that he can get into the reds, so if he wants to continue the break, I think the only way he can do is by playing the difficult red near the right side cushion.
$26. 27.
Surely that red directly above the black at the bottom of that little group doesn't pot to the right corner, does it? No.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 27.
That's not the worst kiss in the world. Can Chris see these reds? The problem is, though, he'll be bringing them into play. He needs to be careful something doesn't find its way near a pocket.
Well, it's well and truly opened the frame up, but he has left a potential long red here. Not close. It's kind of an interesting dynamic. I think O'Sullivan is trying to find something here. You know, first match of the new year. And I think Wakelin, because he's seeing O'Sullivan not at his best yet, he's sort of maybe a bit anxious to think, right, I've really got to take advantage. So it's kind of an interesting feel to the match, I think.
Well, there's a chance of a double here. It's as easy a double as you'll ever see. It's still gone awry. A great chance now for Chris Wakelin. Albeit that black is a little awkward, and although I think he'll be playing for it, he'll need some attention.
One.
Yeah, I think these pockets, you know, are played on the generous side from what we've seen. So you certainly fancy him to get this. The double, I mean, the man O'Sullivan's playing the Masters, John Higgins, he doesn't seem to miss doubles, John.
Hey.
That clearance he made against Mark Allen, it started with a double. Crucible.
Nine.
I like Chris's
16.
tempo as well. He's just playing at his normal speed and rhythm. Just when you have a long career
17.
as a sports person, not just a snooker player, body language is something that you're always picking up on. You can always tell when your opponent isn't feeling at their best or giving you too much respect.
24.
Yeah, you can't afford to lie down or have too much respect, as you say. You're there to do a job yourself.
25.
And that's the thing about snooker, you know, if you play Novak Djokovic at tennis, he's hitting the ball back across the net, arguably the greatest ever. In snooker, the greatest ever is in his seat now. He can't affect what's happening in this frame other than just his sheer presence. I think it is different when there's an audience. Obviously, they tend to support him. But Wakelin,
31.
golden chance to make it 2-0.
$32.
Just this yellow required then to extend his lead to 2-0.
38.
It's only a best of 5. He's within a frame of victory, but a lot of the players, Ronnie especially, can reel off 3 frames in no time at all. Chris Wakelin will certainly be aware of that.
40.
Well, he's had chances, O'Sullivan, but it's all been bits and pieces from him. And that green removes any doubt. So great start for Wakelin. Just to say, by the way, an even better start for Ali Carter. He's beaten Jack Jones 3-0 off the back of the 3-0 win over Milkins. So perfect start for the captain, who, as I say, only just survived yesterday. Ryan Day had a great chance to beat him. Didn't happen. And the ranking event winner is going well in the invitation version of the Championship League.
52.
Another half century for Wakelin.
58.
Yeah, 58 to the pink. Chris Wakelin leads Ronnie O'Sullivan here in Leicester by 2 frames to 0. 2-2. One more frame to come. O'Sullivan with 128 there. Mark Selby had 2 centuries earlier. Karen Wilson one as well, but the 1-8 the highest so far. So it hasn't taken long for this to turn around. Wakelin in early control at 2-0. O'Sullivan has fought back. Let's see if he can get the point here. On the other table, it's still 1-0 to Robert Milkins over Mark Selby. That's actually the last match of the session. On this table, O'Sullivan will stay on to play the world champion Karen Wilson. Found the gap through the reds with the cue ball. Just wanted to avoid the green though. Get the white to the cushion.
One.
Well, that's a terrific pot. It made a difference, O'Sullivan catching the green. Left that potable, but it was still not only a great pot, but control for position on black as well.
Eight.
So let's see how far he gets this time, because of course he had the first chance in frame 4.
9. $16. $17. $23.
Well, the pink going up on the green
24.
spot changes things a little. Because the black isn't available into the left corner, Chris is having to do a little bit more work now to keep this break going.
$29.
Mistaken, the black must pot into the left corner. Just a little surprised then that previously he screwed up for the blue, but this is absolutely perfect. So in potting the black, if Chris can cannon the red directly above it, he should be on the red. It's just to the left of the black as we look. And that will do very nicely. He can't hold for the black from this red, but just shoved a couple into open play, and he can easily stun up for the blue.
38.
Well, it's shaping up to be
43.
a real frame winning chance, match winning chance. say O'Sullivan's safety actually was pretty effective. He just caught that green, which did leave the chance at the long red, but it was still a great pot, not just to pop the red, but hole for the black as well. I think the thing with snooker, these guys are so good
51.
that when the standard does drop, it's so noticeable. We're almost used to them playing this well because they're that good at the game. But really, we shouldn't take it for granted.
52.
Was a much more difficult pot than it may have seemed. He had to play it with a lot of topspin
59.
and right-hand side on the cue ball.
This
has been an excellent break, and he needs 2 more pots to make it into a match-winning one. So O'Sullivan put the pressure on, made that 1-2-8 in frame 4. It's coming back at him, but Chris Wakelin, and this is the new Chris Wakelin, isn't it? This is what he does now. He responds.
67.
This red for victory. Very impressive, that. Just needed 1 chance. That'll make him feel good. Any win over Ronnie O'Sullivan is worth celebrating, but the manner in which he won it, having lost his 2-frame lead, to take it out in 1 visit, very impressive.
73. 74.
Only remains to be seen whether Wakelin can make a century of his own.
81.
Still plenty on, isn't there? 59 still available, so a possible 140. That would be an excellent target for the high break.
82.
He's looked very cool taking these as Chris Wakelin.
Yes, and he could derive a lot of confidence from a win such as this. He was tested by Ronnie O'Sullivan, came back at him strongly.
90. 97. 98.
Well, what a way to win it. Chris Wakelin with a century break of his own. It's his 3rd of the Championship League this year, his 17th of the season, and a very satisfying one. Just needed 1 chance, and as I say, O'Sullivan didn't do much wrong really.
106.
He's aware of the high break prize, I'm sure, Chris. He's played enough of Championship League to know about it, so he's just left this a bit awkward, this black. He knows he can post a big target here. The black stays out, but the win's the most important thing. A break of 106 to take the decider against Ronnie O'Sullivan and to take the point from this match. So Chris Wakelin beats Ronnie O'Sullivan 3-2. Coming up in a few minutes' time, O'Sullivan returns to the table to play the world champion, Kyren Wilson. So it's been a very interesting start to what is a tough group to call. Ali Carter, 2 3-0 wins, so 2 points, 6 frames, 1 non-loss, the perfect start. Mark Selby, Chris Wakelin have each won a match. Selby lost 1 frame, Wakelin, of course, 2 against Ronnie O'Sullivan, and the rest all yet to get off the mark. O'Sullivan will be back on this table very shortly to play. Karen Wilson, of course, they're both looking for their first point in what is, as I say, a tough old group to call. Robert Milkins 1-0 up on Mark Selby on table 2. They're on the brown there, very close frame. Pink is safe, so Mark Selby is in, but not straightforward there. Played very well though, Mark, in his first match against Karen Wilson, 2 centuries. Hitting the ground running into the new year. This is live. Trying to bring the pink out. What a lovely shot. Just needs the pink here. Remember, you can watch Table 2 live on the Matchroom Multisport YouTube channel. This is the last match of the session. Could have obviously left this easier, though. And in goes the pink. Hang on, he's okay. So, excellent from Selby. I was saying to Dominic, you know, Mark Selby is just in his nature. He'll treat every frame here as if he was playing at the Crucible. That's just how he is, you know, and we've seen it there. Took his time over that shot, but nailed it. So it is 1 each. That continues on table 2, as I say, Matchroom Multisport YouTube channel. Apparently, we saw Ronnie O'Sullivan looking at his tip during his match against Chris Wakelin, and apparently he's just working on it backstage. He wasn't too enamoured with it. So there might just be a slight delay here. But we can remind you about the financial rewards here at the Championship League. Here it is. Of course, we're in the group phase at the moment. So it's £100 a frame, £500 with a high break. And then it goes up, if you get to the playoffs, £300 a frame one. Guaranteed 1,000 for reaching the semis. 2,000 as runner-up, 3,000 as the winner, and of course you go through to the winners group where there's a possible 10,000 up for grabs. It's 200 in the league phase, 300 in the playoffs, 3,000 for the semis, 5,000 as runner-up, 10,000 for the winner, and if you win, get in the Champion of Champions, where obviously there's a lot of prize money to play for as well. So if you end up, there's always one player who seems to, if you end up sort of playing in almost all the groups, you can end up earning a lot of money from this tournament. CJRW in the Group 2 last night cumulatively earned 6,400, but of course he's guaranteed to earn more, well, unless he doesn't win a frame at all, from the winners group. So he's, you know, on course to make a nice few quid from this tournament. And as I say, if you've come in Group 1, for example, Chris Wakelin, and you end up not getting through, you know, you're earning pretty good money each group, 3,000 or 4,000 each group. It soon mounts up. And if you are new to the event, now we've got people maybe tuning in, especially as Ronnie O'Sullivan's playing. If you can read all this text on screen, this is how it all works. 7 groups, and 7 winners will come from each group, so whoever wins each final. If they go into the winners group, which is played over the same format, obviously it is a league, so everyone plays each other in a best of 5. A point awarded for each match won. If players are level on points, it goes on most frames won. If that's the same, then it's least frames lost. And if that's the same, it's who won the match between the 2 players. And of course, if you finish 6th and 7th, you're relegated. 5th place and the 3 playoff losers come back for the next group, which will be Friday, Saturday here, Group 4. And of course, the winner of the group goes into the winners group. As I say, I think Ronnie's got a slight issue with his tip, so we'll just drop in again on table 2. There's a feeling, Stephen, today, isn't there, about the place? You know, there's some big hitters roaming around the corridors of the Mattioli. I'm not talking about Dominic Dale.
Well, I presumed you was. Yeah, you're right. The group on paper looked mouth-watering, didn't it? The 3 new guys coming in, Selby, Kyron Wilson, and of course the Rocket. It always looked to be a very interesting and very attractive group. And, well, the first match that Mark Selby played against Kyron Wilson over on table 1, it couldn't have been any better, really. 2 tons from Selby, 1 from Kyron. Selby coming through 3-1. Just sort of set the tone for the day, potentially.
Well, Ronnie has made his way into the arena. Yeah, if he's got tip trouble, Paul Collier's here, tournament director, and he's superb with tips. And Dominic actually is brilliant at that as well. So plenty of people who can help him. Here we go. Ronnie O'Sullivan, Kyron Wilson. This is a real clash of the heavyweights. They played, I know you commentated, Stephen, that semi-final in Xi'an early season in China, which was a bit of a thriller.
Yeah, brilliant. I've been so impressed with Kyron Wilson this season. It was always not so much a question mark over him, but it was just interesting to see how he would do as the world champion, and he couldn't have done any better, in my opinion. Of course, went on to lift that trophy in Xi'an and then, of course, win in Northern Ireland as well. So it's been a solid season for the world champion. But of course, he doesn't want to just settle for 2 trophies. He wants more, and of course, chance to defend his title in Sheffield, which, as we all know, is impossible, Dave.
Well, the Crucible curse, you know, has got everyone so far. All first-time winners have failed to defend it there. You'll hear a lot about that in the next few weeks as we sort of head, you know, out of the Masters. The countdown begins, doesn't it? But he's determined to be the man who will lay that hoodoo to rest. A couple of players got to the final the year after. Joe Johnson, actually 87, having been a surprise winner in 86, had a terrible season, but he got the closest. He lost 18-14 to Steve Davis. And Ken Doherty, 98, having beaten Hendry in 97, lost to John Higgins 18-12 the following year.
Straight away here, Kyron popped in the initial long red and is nicely in amongst them, looking to keep Ronnie in his seat if he has just changed his tip.
16.
Kyron will be aware that table time will be important for Ronnie. They'll be looking to try and keep him in his seat for as long as possible.
Yeah, I mean, Wilson's been so impressive as world champion. He's been one of the best players of the season. Won that Xi'an Grand Prix tournament where he beat Trump in the final. Then, of course, beat Trump in the final of the Northern Ireland Open as well. So 2 ranking titles to his name. Got to the semis of the UK Championship. He's shown up on and off table as world champion. He's been impressive, I think, carrying that mantle. And he's the only player on tour who knows when he'll be playing in the World Championship. He'll be playing on the opening day, that Saturday morning and evening. In terms of the Masters, Zhang Anda will be his opponent next week. Wilson was runner-up 6 years ago now. In fact, 7 years, isn't it? 2025 we are now. So 2018 lost to Mark Allen, 10-7.
Kyron Wilson, 31.
Well, it was a big stretch over that pack of reds, and I didn't expect him to miss that ball, but the fact that he left himself with a little bit to do just asked the question.
1.
Just didn't quite get into the meat of the reds there, Ronnie. I must say, over the years, from watching him, he's certainly one of the best players at dealing with tip problems well. It's very difficult to just put a new tip on and go back out there in the arena and play as if you've been practicing with it for a while.
8.
Usually players take a good few days to get used to a new tip.
Well, there was one year before the Masters where Ronnie O'Sullivan smashed his cue up. Well, I don't like this cue anymore, got another one, went and won it again. So, you know, I mean, most players, the idea of your cue being smashed up the week before a big tournament, you wouldn't sleep all week, but you just, I don't like this cue anymore. Let's get another one.
So all these years we've been blaming the equipment for poor performances, and it's not that. Now what have we got to blame?
I'm sure you'll find something. Anyway, Wilson's back in. Kyron Wilson, the only player to have won in the same season the ranking and invitation championship league. That's the double Ali Carter's trying to pull off this year. Kyron won the first ranking event version of this back in 2020, and then 2021 later that season the invitation event, where of course he made the 23 centuries, which was a record until Matt Selt equalled it. He's second in terms of centuries this season on the list to Judd Trump. The one he made earlier, that was his 34th of the season. Trump's on 47.
17. $24. $25.
Well, it's been a nice enough start this from Kyron Wilson. Doesn't need to do all that much more to get this opening frame won. I'd like to get on the board as quickly as possible in terms of points in this group. Of course, lost his opener, as did Ronnie. Long way to go, though. A lot of snooker to be played between now and the playoffs tomorrow.
I think all the players, though, in this group are aware that making a good start is pretty imperative because it's just such a tough group. I mean, has there ever been three better players coming into a group than O'Sullivan, Wilson and Selby? So, this next red. Should secure the frame.
39.
Yeah, and of course it doesn't always work out this way, but Kyron coming into today's play, playing
44.
the two higher ranked players as well. Mark in his first and now Ronnie.
45.
So if you can come out of them as one each, it wouldn't be a bad result. But they're all tough players and it's very difficult to predict. This format is so unpredictable.
50.
Well, the red stays out, but
50 in your first frame.
a solid start for Kyron Wilson, who leads Ronnie O'Sullivan 1-0. Karen Wilson leads Ronnie O'Sullivan 1-0. A reminder, Wilson was beaten 3-1 by Mark Selby. O'Sullivan was beaten 3-2
Second frame, Karen
by
Wilson.
Chris Wakelin in the opening matches of the day. Yeah, you were saying the group's unpredictable. I think the game in itself is unpredictable at the moment, isn't it? We've seen a few people pop up out of nowhere and win tournaments. Players who've been around a while who sort of suddenly come good. Obviously younger players, which is always good. And the established names as well have been reliable in winning trophies. So you're never quite sure what you're going to get, and it makes it very exciting, very competitive. I mean, just next week, you know, you could make a case basically for anyone in that Masters tournament, couldn't you? All 16 of them.
Yeah, I don't think the standard on the tour has ever been better in terms of, you know, right down the rankings, the players are very, very capable. It just begs the question, who is going to be the next first-time winner of an event? It gives inspiration for the whole tour. The players thinking it could possibly be them. But of course, inevitably, to win these tournaments, you've got to beat players like these two, which is not an easy task.
Yeah, I always remember Ricky Walden when he won his first ranking event in Shanghai, the Shanghai Masters. And it was like he was sort of playing in the Hall of Fame. He beat Davis, Hendry, Selby, Robertson and Ronnie in the final. So the draw did not open up for him. If anything, it closed up for him. But he beat them all.
Just trying to swing the cue ball round the angles here, Kyron. No attempt at the pot, but didn't catch enough of the red. He's playing with a very narrow corridor to find that cue ball. That's another cracking opener from Kyron. Just starting to find his range over distance. Back in straight away after that miss from Ronnie, which came from nowhere.
Yeah, and that's why Wilson will be determined to score here. Sullivan played two good frames against Wakelin, particularly the fourth, and to be fair, he didn't do much wrong in the decider, but in this match yet to really come to life. Wilson was also out in the Far East over the Christmas period, Macau, and you know, obviously he's in demand as world champion, and there's a chance to earn extra money away from tournaments, but also to represent the game as world champion, which is what you want.
Oh, just made a slight positional error there, Kyron Wilson. He was playing for the red just above the red next to the black into the left middle pocket. That offered a chance to get the black back into play. Didn't quite travel the cue ball far enough down the table, so let's take another red. Now just trying to make something happen here, and I don't think it's happened.
16.
Wasn't guaranteed, but took a gamble. Again, the intention was to get the black into play and be on a red. Well, he's looking at the chance of planting this red onto this next one. This is such a tough shot because the shot needs making. Oh, but he's played it well now. Is the black going to be
17.
potable? As the other red blocked it.
Doesn't look, well, I was going to say doesn't look convinced, but well, he's having another look. It's clearly tight.
Yeah, it may be available just into the left part of the pocket. He's tried it into the left part and he's caught a little bit too little of the black. Just trying to over pinch a bit of pocket there, and if he was right behind that black, I would have expected him to pot it, but the fact he was cutting it from an angle made it certainly missable.
Mark Selby's now 2-1 up on Robert Milkins. He lost the opener, but has won the next two. Selby, of course, beat Wilson in his first match. Mark Selby, the defending champion here at the Championship League, won it his home city of Leicester last season. It was actually his only success of the season, but of course already this campaign he's won the British Open in Cheltenham.
Well, that was quite a big shot to take on from Kyron because he was always leaving this red to left corner as a tempter for Ronnie.
Kind of looked good on the way, didn't it? But not to be.
Now, can Kyron plant anything onto that red over the corner pocket? If he can't, well, it might be a bit of a stalemate.
Not allowed to jump over balls like in 9-ball pool. If this was 9-ball pool, it wouldn't be a problem, really.
Yeah, he's got to try and find a way to plant something onto that red, or at the very least find an area of the table where he can cover access to it. He might be trying to, well, is he trying to come off this red on the top cushion and stun across the top cushion and pop the red with the cue ball? That's what he's tried. It's very close. Oh, that's a brilliant shot.
It feels like he should get more than one for that. Played it superbly. The black was always waiting, but he had to get the contact, obviously, to this red. What a shot.
Yeah, it's a brilliantly worked out shot, that, from Kyron. He was just playing to pot the cue ball, basically. Play to pot the cue ball off the red, stun across the cushion. He would have been very unlucky to have not potted the red. It took a double kiss in the end, but enough contact to sink it.
Nine. Eleven.
So the red at the back of the pack will pass to left corner, which then may release another. If it doesn't, he's got a nice angle to play into them.
17.
Looking to land low on this next black.
18.
There you see, that won't pass to left corner, but he can play a nice little controlled cannon into that one detached red. Just pushing that out of the way will release another one to left corner. Yeah, perfectly played. He's caught enough of the red to hold the cue ball in pretty much the same spot.
25.
Yeah, so serious chance to take a 2-0 lead now.
$26.
And again, he's got options here. He's perfect on this black to go into the reds once again. Didn't need to go into them with too much pace, just a nice controlled pace. And
33.
again, the split has worked out to perfection.
Yeah, not much more to do now.
$34.
As I said earlier, Kyron doesn't need to concern himself with Ronnie's tip problems here. It's all about a workman performance. Try and keep Ronnie frozen out of this match for a period of time where he's unable to get used to a new tip. If he has had one put on, I'm not
37.
too sure if that has been the case.
Just left this a little awkward. It's a cutback. He's not over the line yet. Yeah, and he missed it. So, frame that he looks certain to win, he'll be concerned now. The lead really is irrelevant. It's where the balls are, and they're all there for Ronnie O'Sullivan. 54 behind. Help yourself time.
1.
Really is one of the hardest shots in the game, in my opinion, the one that Kyron just faced himself with. When you land on the cushion and you're cutting a ball back into a blind pocket, it's so tough. But it's one you have to go for in that situation. You've got to commit fully to it. He did, but he just got nowhere near it. So, as you say, chance for Ronnie, if anything, to get some valuable table time.
$16.
Straight away taking the chance to take the only difficult red on the table. It wasn't a difficult pot,
17.
but it was difficult in terms of getting access to it. Had to land low.
I mean, O'Sullivan in his seat, he thought the frame had gone, I think, but
19.
the chance came. I always think in an event like this, he sort of can't win and can't lose in a way. If he beats everybody today, he's a genius and he's the best player ever. If he loses to everyone, people say, oh, he's not bothered about this tournament. You know, he's bothered, that's why he's here. He's looking to build up a bit of form.
20.
The second half of the season. He's much more competitive, I think, than people give him credit for. There's aspects of the tour he doesn't like, and I think they've been well documented, but at the snooker table, he wants to win as much, if not more, than anybody.
24.
You might play it down in comments, but just see the evidence of your own eyes when you watch him.
So the green being slightly off its spot just means that Ronnie has less of a big area to play into. He wants that cue ball to pull up.
32.
Well, it's landed fine because it's just ran far enough that he can hit the middle of the cue ball here.
Meanwhile, Mark Selby very close to victory over Robert Milkins.
34.
O'Sullivan and Selby will play at 4:30, by the way. That's always a fascinating matchup.
37.
No, he didn't like that shot from the green. He's not left himself ideal on this blue. On the brown, sorry, to get nicely on the blue, so
41.
having to try and screw back, take the blue into the corner, and he's underhit it by some way. So much so,
41.
he's had to play the snooker. He didn't like that one bit, Ronnie.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. You know, when he's out there, the competitive juices flow, and that's a missed opportunity. He's laid the snooker. That's the respect he's got for Wilson. He didn't try any sort of difficult pots to corner.
And that, to me, is a classic case of somebody not quite being used to a new tip. Just the feel from the tip, not quite there yet. Because there's no way that Ronnie can underscrew that brown by that distance.
Well, you saw what you thought of that one. So, a dramatic frame. Can Wilson knock this blue in? Yes, he can.
5.
And that puts him 18 in front with 13 on. So it looked like he'd thrown the frame away, missed that tricky cut back red to the green pocket, but O'Sullivan went wrong, brown to blue, missed the blue, and has missed the boat really in this frame.
Karen Wilson, 5.
He stays in his seat, and so Karen Wilson presses on to a 2-0 lead. Well, while the drama of that second frame is going on, Mark Selby completed victory, 3-1 over Robert Milkins. So Selby 2 points out of 2, as has Ali Carter in this group. But yeah, O'Sullivan will feel he missed the chance there to poach that frame, steal it.
And immediately a poor break-off from Ronnie. So alarm bells will certainly be ringing. Lost his opener, 2-0 down in this. Kyron Wilson looking to press home. And responds by knocking in the opener, so he's one good positional shot away here, Kyron Wilson, from making this a match-winning chance. Just coming round to study the business end of this table, which balls will pot into which pockets, and how may he go about getting that black into open play as quickly as possible. The red left of it is the problem ball at the minute. Pink not available and the blue off its spot. means that getting in amongst the black spot is quite important. This looks good to me. Straight away taking the chance to get on that red just left of the black. If he's straight enough on it, that was a brilliantly played shot from Kyron, because he can pot the red and hold for the black as well. Yeah, he just couldn't have played the green any better. If he'd have picked the cue ball up with his hand, he'd have placed it exactly where it finished up. So this now a glorious chance for Kyron.
I mean, we've seen this season how he's pressed on from becoming world champion. He wants to start ticking off the other major titles, the Masters. He's such a big event now. Such a big show next week in London. He would love to be last man standing.
13.
Yeah, I mean, he played a cannon to a different red, actually, but he's okay. The break continues.
20.
Seems to have invented his own dress code as well for this event. I'm not sure it's actually in the books, but anyway, I suppose
21.
when you're world champion, you do what you like.
Yeah, just spicing things up today with a little drop of colour there, Kyron Wilson. And there's talk about the waistcoat that he may be wearing next week in the Masters, so if he wasn't already going to tune in, which I'm sure you all were, make sure to tune in, if anything, to see what sort of attire Kyron will turn up in.
Yes, there was a competition, wasn't there, with the school children to design a waistcoat that he's going to be wearing next week, the winning design.
29.
Again, another very clean strike of the ball there from Kyron Wilson.
32.
Real good cue speed, good cue acceleration through the ball. Instantly reacting off the green.
33.
The red beneath the pink may be potable into a corner or middle pocket. Well, they see it isn't, so that may have provided a chance to bring the reds into play as a free shot almost. He doesn't have that option.
40.
So he'll be looking for an angle off a colour within the next few shots. Just had a little glance at that. One red at the back of the pack of 6. Will it pass to the middle pocket when this red disappears?
41.
I think it will.
$48. $49.
Yeah, another good pot from Kyron. So unless that red passes to the middle pocket, he's got the perfect angle to top off the top cushion into the reds. That's what he's played. Needs a little bit of luck. Now, is there a red 2 down from the pink that will pot to left corner?
56.
Well, it's very tight.
Well, it's huge, isn't it? Be a match winner if he's on it. So that's the difference, just fractions there. Probably end a match had he got on the red.
Aaron Wilson, 56.
Good lead though, 56, the break and the lead in this frame. Well, out of nowhere, Ronnie O'Sullivan finds a long one. Couple of reds towards cushions, otherwise it's a pretty good chance this. Get the blue back on its spot.
Six. Seven. Fourteen. 15. 22.
You'd probably like to try and promote one of those reds off the cushion, off this next black.
So he made that century in frame 4, the 1-8 against Wakelin. Otherwise, it's been disappointing from O'Sullivan in this session. Not at anywhere close to his flowing best, and you can see the frustration in him. Wow, what a great pot, meanwhile, from Wilson. So 35 in front. If he pots the blue, 42. He would still need red and colour. But he's got 2 safe reds there. And the pink's tied up as well, so it's not a good table for O'Sullivan.
Yeah, and he didn't have the greatest angle on that black, so he's got options here, Kyron. He could play a double, knowing that the other 2 reds are safe. Be guaranteed to be on the black. It's a chance to win the match. He's gone for it, and he's not got it.
Aaron Wilson, 8.
Well, dear me, what has just happened there? People will say that is pure genius, but it isn't. That is an outrageous fluke.
Also, just a lamp plum on the black. So it's about the red on the cushion. I mean, the match was kind of not in his favour. Let's look at this again. Brings the pink out. Obviously, that was intended, but red going in nicely on the black.
9.
Yeah, I think he just couldn't be bothered to play safe for a number of shots there with those 2 reds on the cushion, just trying to get them back into the open, into play. What a pot it turned out to be, and all of a sudden, he's a back double away from making this a good frame-winning chance.
15.
Oh dear, and in it goes. Well, this is outrageous. Kyron Wilson is sat in his seat. When he went back to the seat, everything was tied up. He basically couldn't lose this frame, Kyron Wilson. And now Ronnie's got the colours at his mercy.
22.
Did go wrong in the last frame, didn't it? It was slightly different there because the pink was
24.
tying up the blue slightly, but he's going to have to go seriously wrong to stop him here. And then after that, who knows in the rest of the match? He was sort of starting to look a bit fed up, wasn't he? But maybe this could be the start of something now.
31.
What a nice game this is, really. Crazy.
$36.
I mean, how well has he taken them, though?
It was a good double. He missed one earlier, but, well, he still needs this black. It's a little cut back. Could have been nicer on it. This is to extend the match to a 4th frame. In it goes. So Ronnie O'Sullivan then has found inspiration from somewhere there, and he reduces Kyron Wilson's lead to 2-1. Funny old game, snooker, isn't it? The match looked basically done in Kyron Wilson's favour. One shot has turned it. And who knows, you know, if Ronnie wins the match now, he could have a great day. He could carry all that confidence into Ali Pali. You just don't know. But anyway, he won the frame. I don't think you could really say Kyron Wilson did anything wrong there. It's all part of the intrigue, isn't it? The thing with O'Sullivan, he's just so watchable, really. Even if he's not playing at his best, you get the feeling something will happen. But let's be clear, he hasn't been at his best today. It's just a question of whether he can get something out of this match now. He lost his first one to Chris Wakelin, 3-2. Got two more to come later against Mark Selby and Jack Jones. Selby's won his first two. Jack, of course, playing great stuff. Maximum yesterday. He's playing in his third group here.
Yeah, that's another good long red from Kyron, considering what he just witnessed in that previous frame. Absolute madness. But these best of fives, they can turn very quickly, so he'll be looking to try and just re-stamp his authority here. You're often looking for a moment of inspiration when you're down in a match, and well, that clearance that Ronnie just made could well be it, but it's up to Kyron Wilson to try and keep him there, planted to his seat. Yeah, now he's negotiated that very missable red. He's got the perfect angle on the black. Get into the pack, get them spread, try and control the cue ball. Well, he's going the pink route, I'm surprised. Well, in potting the pink, it just ensured that it went to the back of the pack, which basically provides good access to the pack of reds now. Kyron going two cushions into them, and that's worked out a dream. He's got multiple reds available to the middle pocket.
17. 25.
3 or 4 reds in open play here, Kyron, that he can chip away at. But the pack is quite
26.
inviting. If at some point he feels he wants to try and just promote all the reds, going into them from the blue is... well, it looks as if it can't go wrong. Not from this blue, of course. He's too straight here. But he's got reds either side of the pack to play on.
$31. Top. 32. $37.
This is another skill in snooker, just shrugging off things that have happened. I mean, there may have been a sense of injustice about how he lost the last frame, but you just have to focus on the next frame. Not everyone has that ability.
38.
What I like about Kyron, he's got this sort of bloody-minded attitude, which, you know, it's resilience, really. Okay, you were a bit lucky in that last frame. Well, let's see what happens in the next one then.
45. $46.
Oh, didn't quite get into that red as well as he would have liked, so had to come across the face of the pack. He's just lost the cue ball a touch here, Kyron Wilson.
53.
There is one red at the back of the pack that will pot, and if he's straight enough on it, it's just a test of cueing. Well, I don't think
54.
he should really apologise too much after that, considering the fluke Ronnie had, but he does offer his hand. He struck that one all wrong, Kyron, caught the red, potted it off the pack, had a flip to the black as well. That's one each.
$61.
So it's really a couple more reds needed here, and it'll be an impressive way to win it. Just one visit needed. As I say, shrugging off what happened in the last frame. 67 the lead with the blue 67 on, so as I say, one more red, the loose one, and that should be that. Sullivan has struggled a little to find his normal rhythm. He made the century against Wakelin, the 1-2-8 to level at 2-2. But Chris Wakelin played an excellent decider, and Kyron Wilson has played an excellent break here.
68.
So 2 matches played for O'Sullivan, 2 defeats. He'll be back with 2 more matches later against Mark Selby and Jack Jones. Kyron Wilson has his first point on the board. He has 1 more match to come today against
75.
Robert Milkins, and then 3 tomorrow.
$76.
Nice plant to stay on track for what would be his 2nd century of the day. Made one against Mark Selby earlier.
$83. $84. $91.
Well, not to be, but it's a fine finish from Kyron Wilson. A 91 break to complete a 3-1 victory, I should say, over Ronnie O'Sullivan. Yeah, and it was a great frame from Wilson because, you know, he was a bit unlucky in the last one, but he just shrugged it off, made the most of that opportunity, and takes his first point from this group. And what a group it is as well. So well contested. 5 top 16 players. Ali Carter and Mark Selby, 2 wins out of 2. Carter top because he hasn't lost a frame yet. Mark Selby's lost 2. Colin Wilson and Chris Wakelin, 1 point each. O'Sullivan, Milkins and Jack Jones yet to get off the mark. Jones has only played 1 match though. So the session's finished pretty quickly, hasn't it? And we've got 2 hours now until the afternoon session. We kick off at 4:30 local time, and it's a heavyweight clash if ever there was one on the main table. Ronnie O'Sullivan against Mark Selby. That'll kick off our action in 2 hours' time. So hopefully you'll rejoin us for that. But for now, from us all here in Leicester, it's goodbye.